Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Monday morning to you all. Hope you guys are doing great out there this morning and having a wonderful start to your day and a great beginning to your week out there so far. We do got a good bit to talk about in this morning's video, and I think it'll be a very active week of just talking severe weather. Unfortunately, there is going to be some snow that we need to break down also, and we'll do that in this video, but we're going to start this video off by speaking on the severe weather threat for today across the southeast up into the mid-Atlantic. Even portions of the northeast will experience this. We'll break down what's going on right now because that is important to what happens later on to this afternoon. We won't spend a lot of time on that at all. And then we'll speak on the latest from the Storm Prediction Center. We'll break it down section by section, the southeast and then the northern portion of this severe weather outlook for today. And then we'll break it down state by state, just like we did for the severe weather risk yesterday leading up to it. We'll talk a little bit about severe parameters, things like that, and then we'll begin to speak on tomorrow's severe weather threat and then Wednesday's severe weather threat. We're going to do it all over again, start it back over west to east, unfortunately. We'll speak in detail on it, but of course not as much detail as we're going to spend on today's severe weather threat since it's right here in front of us. But we'll do the same thing for the next few days is what we're going to do for today's severe weather threat as we get into tonight, tomorrow morning, etc. We'll speak on snow too because I do think there's going to be an area of the upper Midwest that could see a pretty wild snowstorm out of this next storm system. So timestamps will be up throughout the entire video. Take advantage of them. Utilize them. They're there to help you folks out as you want to make your way throughout the video. Understand not everybody has 30, 45 minutes out their day to kind of make their way through a video. Totally get it. That's why I put the timestamps up. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. And if anybody has anything that I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. If there's any hiccups in this video, any sneezes, any clearing of throats, I do apologize. Pollen has kicked my butt more this spring than it has any spring in my life. I don't know why. It's just kicking my rear end right now. So it's been a struggle, and that's why I didn't make a video last night. So we'll make our way through this. So let's get rocking and rolling. So this is what's going on right now. We have a line of storms. Models did pretty well picking up on this happening this morning as we're waking up. So storms are rumbling through Mississippi, southern areas of Louisiana, through northern areas of Alabama. We got rain. More so just heavy rain, maybe some breezy conditions going through Tennessee, and a little bit of rain up the spine of the Appalachian Mountains. There is a plume of moisture off the coast of the Carolinas. Not a big storyline, but if you notice, there's a big clearing of really nothing across Georgia, the Carolinas, up through most of Virginia. So this system's a little bit different. We've been used to these storm systems so far this season across the Carolinas, Georgia, up into Virginia, kind of moving through during the morning hours. That will not be the case today, and that's why the severe weather threat is a little bit higher than it's been the last few events across the southeast because this energy, these storms are going to move through during prime heating of the day. So that's why we really need to figure out what's going to happen for today. So this is what's happening right at this second this morning. Let's go on and look at the outlook. So like I always have said, these outlooks could change, but there has been some changes since yesterday with today's outlook. So we have an enhanced risk in the orange area. So level 3 out of 5 in that orange. The yellow is a level 2 out of 5, a slight risk, and the dark green is a marginal risk. So who's in the enhanced risk? The central Carolinas all the way through central Georgia, through the southern half of Alabama, all the way into southern areas of Mississippi. Now, the further west you get in the severe weather risk area, the more this is going to happen in the morning. So by the time we get into this evening, you really won't have a severe weather threat anymore across the deep south. It'll shift. It'll at that point have shifted to the east. So the Raleigh-Durham area, Greensboro, Charlotte, Columbia, Florence, Orangeburg, up to Newberry, Greenville, Spartanburg, Aiken, Augusta, Athens, Atlanta, Macon, down into Columbus, Georgia, Tallahassee, Panama City, Pensacola, Montgomery, down to Mobile, Biloxi. Enhanced risk, level 3 out of 5. Slight risk, all the western sections of North Carolina, all the eastern sections of North Carolina, and then includes the coastal areas of the Carolinas and Georgia, including Myrtle Beach, Wilmington, Charleston, just about everybody. Savannah, the slight risk extends all the way in the southeastern sections of Louisiana. But just remember, the far western mode of this This is happening right now, but slight risk does go all the way into northern Georgia, and then the far northwest corner of South Carolina up into Asheville. And then we'll talk about this area up in Virginia, the Delmarva, Tidewater here in a second. But what's driving this? The tornado risk has actually went down. If you remember, if you watched the video yesterday or just been tuning in with the weather, we did have a very large 10% risk area. But now we're just down to a 5% risk in the brown area of a tornado within 25 miles in a given location. It includes all the towns and communities in this brown area. The green area is a 2% risk of a tornado. So higher. Some pretty highly populated areas has a 5% risk of a tornado within 25 miles in a given location. It includes all of central North Carolina, South Carolina, points east, okay, most of Georgia except far northern Georgia and the entire southern half of Alabama, and the panhandle and northern sections of Florida. So this could go back up another category to a 10% risk. If it does, it would show up in yellow. But just because it's went down, do not ignore the tornado risk today. I'm going to talk about why here in a second. But all right, the wind outlook is really what's driving the enhanced risk still. So if you live in that red area, it's where you have a 30% risk of winds exceeding 55 to 60 miles per hour within 25 miles in a given location. And then the yellow area is a 15% risk of that. So this is what's still driving that enhanced risk. If we lost that red area, the 30% risk area, and it just went to all yellow, then we would drop down to a slight risk. I don't think they'll do that. There's still a lot of wind energy for this to work with through this red area especially. So then the hail outlook, not a huge day of hail, but if you live in that yellow area, that is a 15% risk of hail exceeding 1 inch in diameter or larger. So there's a good chance with some of these stronger storms, stronger updrafts, we're going to get some large hail potential. So what about the northern mode of this? And I will note, you are cut off a little bit in the New York area. You could get some storms all the way up here. So, if you live in far western Connecticut, western Mass, all the way up into central New York, a marginal risk in place. But the slight risk, no enhanced risk up here anymore. Just a slight risk includes a good chunk of Virginia. Roanoke, Lynchburg, Danville, Norfolk, Richmond, Washington, D.C., the Baltimore area, all the Tidewater to Delmarva, the whole entire state of Delaware, and just about the entire state of New Jersey. Very small section does extend all the way into New York State, but all of eastern PA, including Scranton, Harrisburg, Allentown, you guys have a slight level 2 out of 5 risk of severe weather. I do think there's a possibility of some storms further west, but I think the worst will definitely be in that yellow area. Tornado risk, 5% risk does extend to Virginia Beach, Danville, some southern counties in Virginia, but a 2% risk of a tornado in this green area right here, which includes some highly populated areas. A great example of not ignoring the lower tornado risk area is yesterday what happened in lower Michigan. We had multiple tornado warnings in lower Michigan yesterday. But taking a look at the wind outlook in the yellow area, a 15% risk of winds exceeding 55 to 60 miles per hour. And then the hail outlook, some highly populated areas have a risk of hail for sure. So if you live in this yellow area, a 15% risk of hail exceeding 1 inch in diameter or larger. So let's break it down state by state. And what we're going to do is we're going to start southwest and we're going to start for the deep south, the more southwestern areas of the severe risk area, work our way through the southeast, up into the mid-Atlantic, up into the northeast. So let's break down Alabama, Mississippi. This is happening right now. I just showed you the radar. Here's a radar comparison. This is happening right at this second. So, the HRRR model doing pretty well. And just remember, this is just model guidance. This isn't exactly what's going to happen. So just keep that in mind as we make our way through this state by state. So this is verifying for around 8 a.m. So this is still an hour or so ahead of us. But storms will continue to move through these regions. We're to 10 a.m. So storms will begin to cross through the rest of Alabama. So watch out, southwestern Alabama, the rest of the Gulf Coast line like Biloxi, Mobile, you'll start to get hit by some nasty storms probably, if you haven't already, probably sometime mid to late morning. Some storms will make their way through Birmingham, Montgomery around 10, 11 a.m., give or take an hour. And then by the time we're into lunchtime, storms are still making their way through areas of like the panhandle of Florida. My face might be in the way somewhat, so I'll move it here in a second. Let's go on and move it now. So we got to make sure what time we're on because we can't see the time if I move this down. But this is 11 a.m. Okay, right here, 11 a.m. This is lunchtime. This is 1 p.m. Storms are still moving through southeast areas of Alabama. Could produce all hazards, guys. I know it doesn't look that intense, but it very well could be. Panhandle of Florida getting a lot of storm activity down here. And then we could get additional storms to develop back behind this. Not sure what those storms are going to do. I would say these storms are starting to run out of overlapping conditions, but could get some additional storms later on this afternoon up into this region. Looks like it begins to clear out in the Panhandle early this afternoon. So do be aware of some additional showers and storms after the main batch later this morning into early afternoon. This is 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m. So we'll see what happens with that. Now, Georgia, and we're going to include some of Florida down here too, because I just realized that I kind of have Florida cut off. So I actually might jump down to Florida after this. But this is 10 a.m. Not a whole lot going on in Georgia. By the time we make it into lunchtime, we got strong to severe storms making its way through northern Georgia. Not quite in Atlanta yet. Remember, this entire area, we're going to include South Carolina in this too. This entire area is warming up, getting into the 80s. Heck, somebody might get into the mid-80s today in this area. And then we start to get into 1 p.m. You see the storms. You see these kind of pop-up discrete storms like one around Macon. You want to watch out for any kind of discrete cells to get going. This is an area I'm kind of the most concerned about for today as far as that tornado risk. So, you got some discrete I'm not going to call them supercells, but discrete storms trying to form around Statesboro, kind of south of Augusta near Macon, Albany getting some pop-up showers and storms. And then you see these pop-ups, in the low country of South Carolina, getting close to Augusta also. Storms start to impact the Greenville-Spartanburg area around 3 p.m. Atlanta, I say they move through just after lunchtime or around lunchtime. Athens, early afternoon sometime. And then we start to get into 4 p.m. Storms are moving through central Georgia. And then this is 5 p.m. And then storms start to hit Rock Hill, get into the Columbia area. That's where I live. Augusta. So right around rush hour, these storms could be moving through eastern Georgia, central South Carolina, and they could produce all hazards. You can't ignore the tornado threat today, but this definitely is coming through later in the afternoon. And like I've said in the beginning of the video, this is different compared to the last few severe weather events, which just came through in the morning. Especially Sunday mornings. For whatever reason, storms like to come through Sunday mornings here in the Carolinas. Nothing like trying to get to church during a tornado warning. But 6 p.m., 7 p.m., storms are cruising through eastern sections of South Carolina and Georgia. They're heading right towards Florence. I mean, this is like 7 p.m. this evening. And you keep this going, storms blast through Florence, 7, 8 p.m. Then they start to impact Charleston, Hilton Head, Edisto Island, Savannah, sometime later this evening. And then by the time I know the sun has set at this point, this is 9 p.m., storms are moving through Myrtle Beach, and then we're about done. After that, we could get some additional storms that could form behind it, like Rock Hill gets hit by another storm around 10 p.m., but I wouldn't bet on it. Now, I don't want to ignore my folks here in Florida. Let's show some love to you guys. I know I kind of left you hanging in that one graphic. So Florida, you see the storms that kind of move through and really just focus on the Panhandle. This is 12, this is 1, 2 p.m. See the storms going through the Panhandle, Florida. 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m. blasting through Tallahassee, 6 p.m., 7 p.m. We got some pop-ups, strong to severe storms potentially down here, and just really anywhere in Florida, maybe some sea breeze thunderstorms, and then we're about done by the time we get into this evening. So did just want to show some love to my folks in Florida there. But the rest of North Carolina and Virginia will start this off around lunchtime. Some storms moving through southwest North Carolina. Could produce some gusty winds, some large hail. By the time we get into 1 p.m., these are greeting you guys in like Waynesville, Asheville, moving through the Tri-Cities area of Tennessee. And then we got storms starting to move through the western sections of North Carolina, Hickory, Gastonia, Shelby. Then around 4 p.m., it shows some storms in Charlotte, getting close to Greensboro. We got some pop-up storms from Roanoke up to Charlottesville, Harrisonburg that had the potential to happen. We got some storms up here in West Virginia, eastern Tennessee happening. We'll see if these actually get going. So we got multiple kind of clusters of storms. You got to watch these. These could have a little bit of a spin to them, a little bit more discreet. 5 p.m., Charlottesville, Point East, D.C., starting to get some storms. We'll kind of zoom into that area here in a second. But Greensboro getting a line of storms. This is 6 p.m. This is 7 p.m. It almost looks like Charlotte gets hit by multiple rounds. I'm not sure if that's going to happen. We'll just have to watch, but it could. But all this action continues to progress eastward. So we're getting into 8 p.m. Oh, no, it didn't stop working for me. 8 p.m. Getting into 9 p.m. Pivotal Weather just loves doing this. All right. 9 p.m. Okay, cool. Starting to hit Fayetteville, Raleigh. You see these little weird circle things? This is where, we could have a rotating updraft. Getting some shower and storm activity through Richmond. Remember, this isn't exactly what's going to happen. It's just model guidance. It's just trying to figure out where these storms are going to happen. Between Raleigh and Greenville, some storms starting to roll through your area. I think by the time we're closer to, say, midnight tonight, I think most of this action's all the way in the eastern sections of North Carolina, southeast Virginia. So Wilmington, Jacksonville, the Outer Banks begin to get it later tonight, really. So honestly, most of the eastern sections of North Carolina, Virginia are in the clear for most of the day. This stuff doesn't start to move in until later this evening into the nighttime hours, honestly. So now zooming into Maryland, Delaware, the Delmarva, Tidewater, and it doesn't kind of give you guys bonus in Northern Virginia. This is 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m. We see these pop-up strong to severe storms. And, we just got to watch these, because they look a little bit more discreet, not really a line. So, these could produce some large hail, gusty winds, quick spin up. This is 6 p.m. Storms all across the D.C., Baltimore area. Really anywhere on this map could be getting storms, maybe except like the Tidewater and the Delmarva, Delaware. I don't think most of this stuff will get into your area till later this evening. This is 7 p.m. This is 8 p.m. This is 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m. This is midnight, still dealing with some showers and storms. This is 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. So, yeah, I really think later this afternoon, these storms right around this time, it's around 6 p.m., these could be packing a punch. Hail, gusty winds, strong winds, and then a tornado risk with this. So, going and bump it up here to PA. Most of PA will be fine today, I think. But I think as we get into like 5, 6 p.m., we could get some storms in the southern counties. Strong to severe storms near like south eastern areas of PA, all the communities here, Allentown, Reading. You guys could get some strong to severe storms. This is 6 p.m., 7 p.m. Look at those storms near Philadelphia. Storms are impacting basically eastern, southeastern PA at this point. There's not a whole lot going on in central and western PA. This is mainly southeastern sections of the state that could get that severe weather. So, and then we round this off by looking at southern New England, New York City, Long Island. This is 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m. Shows a big storm right around the New York City area, even a storm up here near Hartford, Bridgeport. This is 5 p.m. Look how the storm kind of cruises up into southern areas of Connecticut. And then we get some more storms that fire. This is 7 p.m. This is 8 p.m. So a stormy commute home potentially there around the New York City area. This is 8 p.m. This is 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m. And it turns into a washout of a late evening for your Monday across southern New England, Long Island, really all across these areas. We could get some gusty winds with this action too. So this is 11 p.m. This is midnight. This is 1 o'clock tonight. 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m. So a lot of rain, a lot of storm activity moves in after 5 p.m. This afternoon, this evening across this entire region. So I want to prepare for that. So if we look at some severe parameters, this is for this morning. Anytime you see any kind of numbers on the screen, the higher the number, the better the ingredients to support tornadoes. So you never see it get too high. This is getting into about midday, early mid-afternoon. You see how the parameters spike to about a 2 or 3 at the highest in this area. So we'll watch out for that. But overall, it doesn't look terrible. But I will say don't always focus on the parameters here, because it doesn't always show everything. It does show some spinning updrafts with this line of energy that moves through Georgia and South Carolina. So, anywhere where you see these slashes of green, blue, this is where this particular model is indicating some rotation with some of these storms. So, if you get under a tornado warning, just because there's only a 5% risk, that doesn't mean that, you shouldn't take this serious, guys. Definitely take it serious. And then the rest of everywhere else, this is the updraft Felicity swath. And, indicates some rotating updrafts down in North Carolina. But once you get further north, it really begins to drop off. And I meant to show the damaging wind threat further to the south. So we'll go on and start it down here. We're going to get some gusty winds, guys, across the entire mid-Atlantic, southern New England. But let's go on and bump it back down here because I forgot to cover this area. But the Carolinas, Georgia, we could get some strong wind gusts with these lines of storms. I mean, you see the pockets of like orange. This is where we could get 40, 50 mile per hour wind gusts. So this is why you have that enhanced risk area. And you see how it's kind of going in like little rows like this. This is because it's picking up on hour by hour intervals here. So some strong gusty winds, damaging winds that could cause damage, guys. Take it serious. So we're watching this today for sure. Stay safe. All right, tomorrow's severe weather threat, we start back and we start it all over. This is, we're going back to the west and we're going to work back east. So tomorrow we could get a bump up to an enhanced risk, but now we just have right this second, we just have a huge slight risk that extends from the Midwest all the way to the south central U.S. So level 2 out of 5 risk of severe weather. I mean, Dallas-Fort Worth area up through Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Wichita, Kansas City, up to Davenport, Rockford, Des Moines, Omaha, Lincoln, Sioux City, Grand Island, Springfield, Fayetteville, level 2 out of 5 risk of severe weather. Pretty large 5% risk area of a tornado. So we'll kind of zoom into this. If you live in this brown area, 5% risk of a tornado as of right now within 25 miles of any given location in this brown area. The wind threat. 15% risk of winds exceeding 55 to 60 miles per hour. And then the hail threat. Not only do you have this entire yellow area that has a 15% risk of hail exceeding 1 inch in diameter or larger, and this hatch risk area, the black outline area with the black dashes going in between it, you have a 10% risk of significant hail, 2 inch in diameter or larger. And then we have a risk of severe weather for Wednesday, 2 days from now. And guys, this could be a big day. Right now, just a massive enhanced risk for some of the same areas that saw it yesterday. This goes all the way up from, I mean, you might as well just include Detroit in this. Detroit, South Bend, Chicago, Indianapolis, Dayton, Cincinnati, Louisville. You got down to Nashville, Memphis, Tupelo, Little Rock, down to Monroe, Shreveport, Arklatex, Fort Smith. Includes Springfield pretty much, St. Louis, I think I already said that area, all the way up the mid-Mississippi Valley region, the entire state of Indiana included in this. This is a large area, level 3 out of 5 risk of severe weather. Level 2 out of 5 extends all the way up Lake Erie, Lake Huron, all the way back over to Iowa, all the way back down to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, all the way down into central Louisiana, Mississippi, northern Alabama, through eastern areas and kind of middle areas of Tennessee, eastern Kentucky, all the way back to Cleveland. So all we know right now is that in this red area, you have a 30% risk of any severe weather. You also have a 10% risk of this severe weather being significant, EF2 tornado or stronger, hail exceeding 2 inches or larger, winds exceeding 65, 70, 75, 80 mile per hour winds. And then, this risk of significant severe weather extends into the 15% risk area too. So a big day of severe weather Wednesday. And unfortunately, for Thursday, we have another day of severe weather extending across this entire yellow area right here. So we'll get more details with this as we go. After that, day 6, there's nothing. Day 7, but I could see more severe weather days out ahead of us even after Thursday, guys. So what's causing this? It's the same thing we always talk about, guys, and ejecting low pressure across the middle of the country. And here is this one. I'm about to do the same thing as the last few have done. So this is starting off tomorrow morning, and we're getting into about midday tomorrow, then we're getting into tomorrow afternoon. You see that low pressure sort of dancing around. This is tomorrow evening. And look at the snow breaking out tomorrow night across areas of the upper Midwest, the Dakotas. We could get a big snowstorm up here. And this is right out in front of us, too. This is kind of snuck up on us. But you see the splotches of orange, red, yellow. This is where we could have strong to severe thunderstorms tomorrow evening. We'll begin to zoom in on some of these short-range models as we get into tonight, into tomorrow morning. But look at the corridor of snow up there in the upper Midwest. That could be very heavy. Then we get into Wednesday morning. This starts the next day of severe weather. Look at this extremely heavy snow up here. Very heavy snow. A low pressure, 985, getting into Iowa. This could all be a line of strong to severe storms Wednesday morning. And then we start to get into Wednesday afternoon, and we just got this huge coverage area of strong to severe storms through this entire region with a 987 low going across Wisconsin. This will bring all the ingredients into this region for strong to severe storms, guys. So definitely an event that we got to pay a lot of attention to. And this is getting into late Wednesday evening. You see where all the greens, the yellows, orange, reds are. And then we get into Thursday. Could have an additional low that sort of forms right into here. This will bring in widespread ingredients for severe weather once again. So you see all this area right into here, right exactly where you have that slight risk for Thursday. We could get a lot of strong to severe storm activity here too. We could also get a flooding threat, guys. This is something that, I need to speak on, and I'm probably going to pull up a graphic here in a second. But look, this is Thursday afternoon. Look at all that action you see, in Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky, surrounding states. And then we're starting to get into Friday morning, and we could just have another round of severe weather for Friday evening across some of the same areas as, troughing is just kind of jammed up out west. So we continue just to have an avenue of severe weather. So we could just continue to get this, guys. All the way into this weekend, we continue just to have rounds of thunderstorms in this region. So if we're looking at the ingredients for severe weather, we'll just show you the basics. This is Tuesday tomorrow, and this is getting to Tuesday afternoon. You see this moisture building north. The dew points in the 60s and 70s support severe weather, but 50s will get the job done too. And then we start to get into Wednesday. Look how this huge moist sector extends all the way up into Chicago, the Midwest, the Ohio Valley. We got dew points in the 70s, much deeper moisture, all the way up into Memphis just about. So deep moisture in place. This begins to build to the southeast. A very humid week ahead across areas of the eastern, southeastern, deep south sections of the U.S. And then we get into Thursday, and we get this super deep moisture just even building into Arkansas, Louisiana, eastern Texas, Mississippi. And it really doesn't go anywhere. No cold front really flattens out, dries out this moist air mass. And we're getting into Friday, and you continue just to have a massive moist sector across the southern tier of the country. So I don't think severe weather chances are going to go anywhere for Friday. And I really don't think they'll go anywhere for the southeast either as we're getting into Saturday or Sunday. I just think that you might lack the overlapping ingredients. So basically what I'm trying to say is we got a ton of moist air to work with for multiple days out ahead of us of severe weather. And then we look at the favorable wind pattern. So these are winds at about 18,000 feet up in the air. And anytime you just have ejecting low pressures, pieces of energy across the middle of the country, all this is going to do is continue to amplify this wind aloft. So winds at about 18,000 feet up in the air, southwesterly flow. This creates lift for thunderstorms rumbling through this region. And we'll begin to focus on that low-level jet in the next video, but just focus really on the area of, the purple, the reds, and the yellows. This is over 100 knot mid-level jet going through this area. This is going to provide plentiful wind energy for storm development. And then we're getting into Thursday morning. This continues this just cruise over the entire middle of the country as we have this deep digging trough digging across the western U.S. and then this causes basically a buckle in the ridge right here across the southeast. So all the flow kind of just cruises on down here. Not a good color. Cruises on down here and then shoots across the middle of the country right over a ripe, moist air mass. And this just creates days on end of severe weather, guys. This is getting into Friday. We continue just to have plenty of flow out there. So, I do want to mention the snow up here in the upper Midwest. This is just between now and Wednesday evening. We could have more. Folks, they're going for over a foot of wet snow up here in areas of the Dakotas and central and northern areas of Minnesota, guys. we could even get a little bit of snow in like Minneapolis, but north of Minneapolis, I mean, there's going to be an area where we could get over a foot. A lot of snow, some gusty winds, could get blizzard warnings. And in fact, let's see what kind of watches, warnings, and all that rigmarole we have up here. Yeah, I mean, we got winter storm watches up here. So it's a lot going on, guys. A lot going on. And of course, we got red flag warnings up for the southern sections of the plains because of all this ejecting low pressure and lack of moisture here. So we're going to run fire danger. And then, you know, one thing I want to look at here is the, my nose is so stopped up, is rainfall. And let's just look at the blend of all models and let's look at moisture. So this is between now and next Monday morning, folks. And let's look at Ohio Valley. Look how much rain is expected through this area of Arkansas, eastern Oklahoma, up through the Boot Hill, Missouri, Kentucky, Illinois, western Tennessee. It's going for over 10 inches of rain in this area right here, the blend of all models. So, you know, one thing that is probably going to be overlooked is the flooding threat. But there is a legit flooding risk in this area this week over the next seven days across this kind of mid-Mississippi Valley region up through the Ohio Valley back into the southern plains. A legit flooding risk is here. So, yeah, guys, that's all I got. A lot going on. These videos will be hefty. They'll be long, but we'll make it through, and hopefully we can make it through this week safe and sound. God bless all y'all. Have a wonderful day. And I apologize for not being able to get to the daily forecast. There's just so much going on, guys. God bless all y'all. Have a wonderful day. We'll talk to you again soon.